Don't buy an AI filmmaking course when I'm over here just giving it away. Today, I've got a bunch of pro AI filmmaker secrets and tips that I'm going to share with you to really bump up your next production. All right, let's jump in. Quick note, today's video is sponsored by Framer, the no-code website builder that is loved by designers. We'll talk more about them in a little bit. Kicking off, and I'll admit, this is kind of a boring one, but to be honest, the boring stuff is what makes the pros the pros. In this case, that thing is organization. And don't worry, we're not going to be like generating up a bunch of spreadsheets or anything. Believe me, I'm the last person you want giving spreadsheet tutorials. But it's no secret that you have to generate a lot of material to pull off an AI film. And you'll likely be hopping around a number of platforms, experimenting with ideas, testing out different prompts. It all gets to be kind of a lot. So one big tip here, put together a murder board. As an example, here's a quick one that I cribbed together up in Canva, and this is just the free version of Canva too. Obviously, customize this however you like, but the overall idea here is to have a home base where you have things like, your location backplates, the prompt that goes along with it, your characters, once again, the prompt that goes along with it, and then in my case, any associated turnarounds can also be loaded up in here as well. The idea, of course, being having your most commonly used assets and prompts readily available to you so that you aren't breaking out of any kind of creative flow state, needing to go, root through your downloads folder or dig through a generation history to find, that prompt that worked. Again, you don't need to get super elaborate with this, and obviously customize it to the needs of you and your project. So this tip is audio-centric and, kind of more focused on VO3, at least currently, since, obviously that is the video generator whose hallmark is generating dialogue. That said, I don't think it's going to be very long before all the rest of them are doing it as well. So while VO3 is pretty remarkable in terms of dialogue delivery and actor emoting, there are problems with vocal consistency.
Charles, I thought you were dead. Charles, I thought you were dead.
Not only that, but we also occasionally end up with random music cues thrown in.
Oh, it'll take more than 3 henchmen to kill me, I assure you.
So to clean up all of your audio, probably the easiest thing to do is to first, cut all of your material together. I'm just leaving the audio track here muted. It is a bit of a mess. From there, export just your audio track and bring it over to a stem splitter. One that I've been using, not sponsored or anything, is lalalai.ai. I just ended up using Lalal because I bought like $35 of credits a while back, and I've gotten nowhere near putting a dent in them. But obviously what we're aiming for with any stem splitter is getting a clean pass of our characters' dialogue and vocals removed from any kind of like background bed of music. From there, to attain voice consistency, you can bring that file or chop it up into various sections of dialogue over to ElevenLabs, where we can then use the voice changer feature. Fun fact, they actually now have the voice of Burt Reynolds available on ElevenLabs. I use that all the time. The way that I tend to do it is just to run it twice, once with one voice and then again with the other voice, and then I will bring it in and actually chop up the various lines. So this initial clip here, that's the original audio. On track 2 is one character, and then on track 3 is another character. Now, track 4, this is something that I've been playing around with and wanted to share with you guys. On a traditional film set, oftentimes the sound department will end up recording, somewhere between like 30 seconds and a minute of just straight silence. This is called room tone. And essentially what they're doing is just capturing the overall sound ambience of the location. So we can do that here with something like working quietly in the office, no talking. For something like this, we only need a few seconds. We can then cut it and loop it a number of times and then just run it low in the background. That kind of gets rid of that directness of the ElevenLabs voice. Let's give a look and a listen.
Charles, I thought you'd be dead by now.
Oh, it'll take more than 3 henchmen to kill me, I assure you.
I only hired 2.
I hired an extra one, just to make it interesting.
Man, Chuck goes hard. Do not mess with Chuck. Okay, moving on from the land of audio to the land of video. Overall, I think it's considered best practice to upscale your images before running them through a video generator. I'm not going to get into a whole head-to-head in terms of all of the various upscalers out there. There are just far too many, and that is an entire video unto itself. I will say, personally, I'm finding that Leonardo's upscaler is actually very, very good. It's probably the one, again, in my opinion, offers the most in terms of, creatively upscaling without steamrolling over your original image. It also does tend to do a really good job with skin textures without creating that like overly waxy look. Again, there are far too many image upscalers out there for me to do anything comprehensively here. So let me know in the comments which image upscalers you've been preferring, and if you want to see a future like head-to-head shootout. Now here is where I might be a bit controversial, which is just because something is best practice, does it make a difference? So running our orc in his test tube supply shop, or maybe he lives in Colorado and it's a whole different type of shop. This is the upscaled version run through CDance Pro. The prompt here is very simply slow zoom in on the orc as he's talking. While running the non-upscaled version, once again in CDance Pro, same prompt. Obviously there are going to be some differences, but the end result, pretty close, right? I am starting to lean towards thinking that the newer models, such as CDance Pro, obviously, and this is Kling 2.1 Master, tend to do a pretty good job of essentially filling in the blanks, whether your image is upscaled or not. You can kind of see it in action here too. This is our non-upscaled image, and within the first couple of frames, like there's this ever so slight gamma shift that ends up happening where Kling is essentially taking over for the image, essentially. And you can see our textures actually improve kind of a considerable amount in terms of skin tone, from our opening non-upscaled image. Now, all that said, if you're doing any kind of nano banana type updates, definitely you're going to want to run it through an upscaler at that point, because we have seen that you do take a texture and resolution hit when you run it through the banana. I'll keep playing around with you and I'll update you on my findings. In the meantime, I know that YouTube compression can be a little crunchy, so I am going to put a link down to the Gumroad where you can check those examples out. You can see the full res files for yourself if you want to. So if image upscaling can be thought of coming in the door, of course, going out the door is video upscaling, which is pretty much a requirement for any kind of professional video use. Once again, there are a plethora of video upscalers out there. I would say that industry standard is Topaz. And look, I know that Topaz is expensive, but on the plus side, it is a one-time purchase and you end up owning it. They have also introduced their cloud-based creative upscaler called Astra, which I think is pretty good. It can get a little heavy-handed from time to time, so you have to be a little careful with it. But overall, I think it does a pretty solid job. Once again, it can get heavy-handed, so my suggestions there are to use it on the precise and subtle modes as opposed to going with like bold and creative, where I think it takes too much of a heavy hand. Topaz actually recently reached out, and I think I'm supposed to be on some kind of like feedback committee for them. So if you have any suggestions about what you would like to see improved or any kind of additional features in Astra, definitely put them down in the comments. I will let them know. Next up, we'll be taking a look at one of my favorite tricks, but first up, let's go check in with our friends at Framer. So maybe you're like me and you still have not gotten around to building that portfolio website for your AI films and other projects, or even maybe just like me, you haven't even gotten around to the landing page. Part of it might be that you have great taste, but your technical design skills may not match your vision. You do have great taste though. Well, today we do have a solution leveraging the power of AI. Now, you may have heard about Framer, the no-code website builder that is loved by designers. And over on Framer, they have a really great AI-powered tool called Wireframer. And utilizing Wireframer, we'll be able to begin building really any type of website with a prompt. So just for fun, let's actually get around to building that landing page utilizing the prompt Theoretically Media, a YouTube channel that covers generative AI tools for filmmakers, musicians, and artists. Let's submit it and see what we get. And in no time at all, I have an entire framework for a website with views in both web and tablet, and of course mobile. And of course everything here is editable, so let's just change that out to use Theoretically Media, and there you go. We also have our AI assistant over on this side where you can ask for anything else you might need. For example, let's add a section for the latest videos on the channel. And sure enough, we now have a section featuring 4 of the latest videos. And of course, well, you guys know me, you can always ask your AI assistant to toggle on dark mode because only psychopaths use light mode. And of course, from here, you can go into manual mode where you can tweak and customize to get everything to match or possibly even exceed your initial vision. So if you're ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer, well, use code Theoretically Media for a free month on Framer Pro. Hey, my thanks to Framer for sponsoring today's video. Moving on, this one is actually one of my favorite secrets. I'm just gonna give it to everybody. It's not a secret anymore. But I do think that this one is probably the thing that will help you most in terms of storytelling and visually differentiating yourself from everyone else. Now, it's no surprise that pretty much every image generator kind of rigidly sticks to the rule of thirds. I take an image like this and it's pretty much dead on. And I mean, obviously the reason for that is that generally most of the time we want that, but there are times that you're going to want to break out of that, especially for narrative purposes. One of my favorite examples in recent memory is, of course, the show Mr. Robot. In the show, which if you have not seen, I do recommend, it's pretty good. The main character, Elliot, is often shown breaking out of the rules of composition, and that is to illustrate essentially his, growing paranoia, lots of negative space around him, creating more tension. It is definitely very visually striking, but I do want to note, always done for narrative purposes. So, like any seasoning, just be careful with how much you apply. So the overall idea is to take a very like Mr. Robot inspired image, like this Midjourney image here. As you can see, Midjourney is doing the Midjourney thing. It is very much in the rule of thirds. So bring that image into any outpainting tool. In this case, I'm just using the Midjourney editor, but obviously there are a ton of other outpainting tools, Photoshop's Gen Fill, for example. And then that gives us a video output like this, which yes, is technically wrong, but is also kind of visually striking and definitely set apart from just running the standard vanilla image as is. Again, this is one of those tricks where I don't think that you should go too crazy with it, but it can be very effective, especially if you have a narrative reason for it. Next pro tip, be platform agnostic. And I don't mean that in a bad way. There are obviously a ton of video generators out there and they all have their quirks. So definitely take some time and familiarize yourself with what works for you. There really is no one best video generator, the same way that there is no tool that is a hammer, a wrench, a screwdriver, and a flamethrower. Why do you need a flamethrower?
Why would you not need a flamethrower? Give me 5 problems, and I'll bet 4 of them can be solved with a flamethrower.
Exactly, flamethrower girl. And look, I know a lot of people are still waiting for the one platform to rule them all, and I'm not saying that is not going to show up at some point or another, but even then it will still have problems. And that leads us to patience and experimentation. Look, like I said at the top, it's no secret that to pull off an AI film, it takes a lot of generating. You will occasionally get lucky with a one shot off the bat, but more often than not, it'll take some re-rolls to get there. But as I've often said, traditional filmmaking, it's not like that's easier. Roughly speaking, the ratio on an actual film set is somewhere in the neighborhood of 10-1. And to be honest, it's about the same for an AI production. I've joked before that making an AI film is a little bit like being like a writer, producer, director who's working remotely with a film crew in Belgium and they don't speak English and you don't speak Dutch. So to that, you have to be a bit flexible. It's almost like having an unruly crew member or actor on set that is just not going to do what you tell them to. And that is really the job, both traditionally and with AI generated material. Problem solving, that's the job. And finally, well, this is more of a tip than it is a secret, but think short. I know you have that 3-hour fantasy, sci-fi, romantic ninja epic that you've been dying to get to. And believe me, I want to see it. It's got ninjas in it. But this technology is simply moving too fast to mire yourself down into a 6-month-long production. The workflows are constantly changing. I'm making a new game changer thumbnail every 2 weeks. So for the time being, your best bet is to focus on shorter projects, things that you can accomplish in about a week or 2. And finally, for the biggest secret about being pro, make something, finish it, and post it. There, you're a pro. Don't stress about the numbers of likes or views or anything. Just make something and get it out there. And you might say, well, pros get paid. Well, fine then. Hire yourself for $2. Go print yourself up some business cards. You're a pro now. The point being is that there is no gap. There is no wall. There is no degree. There's just making stuff, putting it out there, and then making more stuff. So yeah, go out, make stuff. As always, I thank you for watching. My name is Tim.